Well, if you saw that little clip at the very beginning, you'll notice there's a car sitting on the slab, tarped. It has to come off the slab before we can put the building up. I know. We'll deal with it come time. But right now, I just thought, what's under that tarp? Well, this would be what it would look like after it was restored. Right now, it's kind of, someone the other day said it was kind of like right now, the car's a bit naked, so you really shouldn't see it right now, which is under a tarp. But we'll be looking at it once we get at it. The car is here. It's been delivered from Texas, and we got her up on the slab. And really more about the building right now until we can get this. We can't really get to the car until we get to that building. The building's got to go up before we can really work on the car. But the other problem was I stuck the car on the slab and then realized it was like big mistake. Gonna have to get the car off the slab in order for the building to go up, because no builder is going to put that building up while that car is sitting there, kind of thing. So it was like, well, you know what, we're going to ramp off the back of the slab because it's just a bit of a small drop, and roll the car back in there, put the tarp back on it for the time being. The tarp was actually a full car storage tent, actually, that I bought from Amazon, and I was going to use it because we didn't even have a slab and the car was coming. Well, we got the slab, but it's like, well, we don't have the building. So, just one thing after another. And as it turns out, the slab, and maybe we won't do it today because it's too darn cold out there. It's 32 degrees Fahrenheit or something. South Georgia, like, how does that happen? We got a cold, what do they call it? The polar vortex is coming through. So what I'm going to do is, when we can get out there, if I can, I'm going to try to shoot the film a little bit just so you can see what I'm doing. I have to cut the slab. It's an inch and kind of bowed with the 1 inch overhang. And I want it nice and dead straight, because when you have a metal building going in, everything's got to be right. And it's like, the slab is not right. It's like, nothing. They did a pretty good job, I guess. That one side, it was like, I don't know whether it was a blowout. It wasn't, supported properly. I'm not really sure what happened there, but I got to cut the slab to get it right. And really, ideally, because the building overhangs the slab only by maybe, I guess, an inch or something, I'll probably only have to cut 3 or 4 inches down, knock that off from the edge, and the rest of it can still be there. It's not going to interfere with the construction of the building. It's just that very top is going to be needed to be cleared out. So yeah, bust for me. Found this the other day and just thought it was kind of cool. It was like, t-shirt with a 68, 67, 68. Yeah, that is a 67 Camaro, actually, not the 68, because the easiest way to tell, there's no side indicator lights on there, and if there isn't, that's the 67. Wow, that's the only difference. It was like, cool. Before I forget, I'll put a link in the description below where you can find the car tent. That thing is said to be pretty good for weather, but and I know that if it blows hard enough, I don't care what it is, it'll blow down. I've never been big on those things, but that one I think has a little bit of a snow load rating to it or something. But I think it's a big tent, so it's a lot of work. Now, be warned, when that thing showed up here, it was 2 boxes, and each box weighed well over 100 pounds. They were hard to deal with. They were very heavy. No handles, no way to get a grip on the boxes, and I had to kind of cart them and slide them around to get them to where they needed to be. And then what I did, as you saw the picture there, I just took the very top part of the kit and put that part of the tent just flat over the car and put some bricks on it for the time being. I don't expect it to be so windy or something here that there'll be a problem for the time being. And obviously the car is in pretty rough shape as far as paint and everything goes, so you can't hurt anything. I just want to keep it as out of the weather dry as possible with a tarp for the time being. The other thing I was looking at was one of these. This is out of the company over there. It was at Huntington Beach, California, I believe. I've dealt with these people 30, 40 years ago for parts for the Camaro, and here it is, 2026, and it's one of those laughable books where you can go through this thing and like, man, I can build the whole car from scratch. I don't even need a car, I'll just build one. Like, there's so many parts here that seem to cover just about everything, which is good. I'll also be using eBay and other places to pull parts from, but I kind of want to walk you through this restoration project as we get into it. I'm really excited about it, but at the same time, the other thing I wanted to do too was this, and I wanted to show you something else about the start of a project like this. You really don't just start ordering parts over the internet, or at least you shouldn't really until you know what you're dealing with. So because the car is out there, it's under a tarp, I really don't want to click the mouse and say buy it now, you know, on eBay or something. I'm going to have to shop around for what I need, and I need to be able to identify the parts that I do need, because I was going to order a new valance panel for the front windshield the other day, and I realized, you know what, until we clean out the trunk and everything else and go through the part inventory of the car, you really shouldn't buy anything. You know, just don't buy anything just yet. And the next thing I wanted to show you was a yellow notepad, yep, and a pencil. That's where we'll start. Yes, the yellow notepad. You can pick these up at like Walmart or something. Great big old notepads, and this is some of the things, just little crazy things that you should buy when you're going to like do any kind of like project like this. This could be restoring an old boat, old car, whatever, you know, or maybe, I don't know, maybe you're going to build a deck out in the back of the house. I'm going to be doing that probably in the spring. The project here has to start somewhere, and this is where you get going, is you get yourself a yellow notepad and a pencil. And we'll just talk a little bit quick about projects like this. If you look at the whole project, it starts to look like a huge mountain, and you'll never be able to build that thing or something. But I've been told, and it does work, you take a shovel load of dirt, you put it about where you want that mountain to be, and each day you just keep taking some dirt and moving it to that one spot, and pretty soon you have like a molehill and eventually, you know, a mountain. It's kind of like that. You don't sort of stare down the whole project and start letting it get to you, because it's easy to, you know, shut down or just say, oh, I can't do this, this is just too much or something. So you have to take little bites out of it and make, you know, just sort of keep moving along. There are problems with this. So one of the things that's nice with a notepad here is you can go over the car or whatever project it is and make notes of all the things you're going to be needing. Things that need a repair, resurfacing, you know, sanding, painting, whatever, or ordering parts even. You know, you get it all on your pad, and you may have, in this case, it'll probably be a couple of pages of stuff that will be noted, but as you get them done and completed, you check the box off kind of thing and go to the next item, whether it be electrical or, you know, the chassis, interior parts, you know, whatever it is at that point you're focusing in on. And that was the other thing. Take a little bit of something and start on that, and just concentrate on getting that done, you know, and then get to the next one. That's what they say, sort of, but it doesn't necessarily apply, especially to an older car like this, because what'll happen is you'll say, okay, I want to replace the brake calipers at the front or something. So you order new ones. Well, while you're waiting for those to arrive to be installed or something, you go to another part of the car and you start something on that. And again, this is where the list comes in handy, because you can write ordered or something like that in a column over here. But in the meantime, get something else on the list going and start working on that. And each day you try to say, at least, you know, get a little bit, even if it's just a little bit done or it's a lot done in a day, you try to slowly knock off these little parts of the projects that will make the whole project come together. And that's sort of the way it's tackled, you know. I have done some, when I was a kid, I built wooden sailboats, believe me, that's a project, yeah. And I've restored some cars and, you know, Jeeps and whatever over the years. This last Jeep I just had, you've probably seen it in older videos. Unfortunately, we had to cut that project loose because it financially just was not acceptable to try to move that thing back here from Texas. So I got rid of her, you know. I had really had a long range ideas and plans for what I wanted to do with the old Jeep, but you know, that's gone. The 68 Camaro is something that has always been on my mind, because when I was a kid, I got one, yeah, and I put all the goodies on it and did all the body work, got the interior cleaned up. The car was really almost virtually mint condition. In fact, it even had the that petted vinyl roof on it. Anyways, the car was stolen, never found, gone. You know, it's in pieces from here to California. and it was an RS. Yeah, SS. It was a really nice car. 327, 4-speed Mudsey M22 Rock Crusher, 12-bolt posi rear end. It was a pretty cool car, but it was taken from me. Yeah, and this car here is not the same, but it is the same for me. It's still that 68 Camaro flavor, which is like, yes. And this one is, we've pretty much, I haven't 100% identified, but we're pretty sure this is the SS model, which is really cool. Looks like a 350 sitting in there, but again, can't say for sure till we get the block. We're gonna be pulling the engine out of there and changing transmissions and whatever. Clean the engine up, check it over, and see how much. I'm going to go through the motor, but I'm not going to get too crazy because, again, I'm trying to keep this on some kind of level-headed budget where you can go out on a weekend and just cruise the car to the local, you know, milkshake shop, whatever, and come back to the house kind of thing. Nothing too crazy, and definitely no long, you know, drives like 1,000 miles from here or something. No, you know, I don't believe that will ever be happening. But the car will be able to be cruised around town, enjoyed, and, you know, parked in the garage or whatever when it's not in use. You know, it's just that sort of thing. And I want a low budget, so it looks good on the street, whatever, sounds pretty good, whatever. And it's just a fun little ride. Nothing too crazy about all that. Anyway, this is where you start. You make a list and you write down all the parts and parts of the projects and what you need to either restore, repair, replace, whatever, and, you know, get it together. Now, if you do that, you may or may not, depending on, I know some people do, some people do not. A lot of people like to write the price over in this column and keep track of how much they've spent on the project, in this case a car, you know, and see where it's going. And I will probably do that, just keeping a track of how much money is spent, because there will be some very expensive items. I've been planning on, for example, ordering a complete front and rear seat components, which means there's $1,000 out the door right there just to have, you know, decent seats. And that's probably going to be one of the more expensive items for the car, I imagine, although I am going to be looking around, keeping an eye out for a decent set of rims and tires, you know, that sort of thing. Now, right now, I'm not running out looking for that stuff because it's like I don't need it right now. The car's sitting on some pretty interesting rims right now, but again, we'll get into that down the road. The rubber that's on it seems to be holding air, so, you know, good enough, you know. And I'm not sure even what the history of the tires that are on that car. You know, there was brand new rubber on it that was beautiful, nice tires, but they rotted while the car was sitting. The car had been sitting for 15 plus years, so yeah, they were a little rotten. Yeah, but at least the front one was. It was replaced by, I don't even know what they put something on there for the time being to hold air, which was like good enough, you know. Don't have to break the bank for that one, I hope. And hopefully they got the car here and it was decent, so it was like, okay, fine. I did notice there was a problem with the rim interfering with the brake caliper, which I thought was odd, but I don't know. It could be that it was a 14-inch rim. The car might be designed to have a 15-inch rim or something. All to be, you know, we'll cycle through and find all that out as we get to that part. But this is pretty much, you know, where it starts is get it all down, documentations, get your prices on stuff. If you want to keep track of what you've invested, make sure your wife never sees these prices. Oh yeah, I don't know how to tell you to hide that, but just make absolute sure she doesn't see any of that, because oh man, that'll shut the project down in a heartbeat. You know it, and I know it. So, you know, that the going forward, I think what we're going to try to do is each week, if we can, maybe day to day, I don't know, we'll focus in on whatever it is we're doing as far as replacing, rebuilding, repairs, whatever, and we'll shoot video for that, you know, and we'll be restoring. Now, one of the things I am going to be tying into is probably doing some 3D printing, not with these machines, maybe my bigger machines, some parts or even repair pieces that will be involved with the car. I don't know where that's going just yet. I've seen some a couple of people now build an entire car, yeah, using 3D printed for the body and stuff, and it's like, but they do cover it with a I believe it's a carbon fiber, you know, thing like a fiberglass. They just glass the whole thing over, and that's kind of cool, but that's not where I'm going. But I have seen some 3D parts made up to help repair component body parts to cars, and I thought that's pretty interesting. You know, we might have to touch on that or get into it a little bit, especially you know, the new machine I have coming in that should be here pretty soon. It'll be able to run ABS and ASA, you know, more automotive type plastics that can handle outside weather extremes and whatever. So that'll be cool. That's going to be really something down the road. Even a customized grill maybe or something. Yeah, you know, it's going to be fun. Anyway, that's just an update today because, you know, it's Sunday, it's cold. I'm trying to hide in the house and it's not really working out that great because I hate to just sit around and watch TV. Thanks for watching Coffee and Tools. Please like, share, subscribe, ring the notice bell, and we'll be getting into all this. Yes, over and out.